Alrighty, as promised, this video is going to address overwhelm, specifically around the holidays. But if you're like me, you feel overwhelmed almost every day. So I'm not sharing these tips as a mental health expert by any means, nor should these tips replace you getting help from a professional if this is something that's on like an ongoing struggle or it's affecting other areas of your life and health, or you just want to get better at it. But it can definitely help, I think, or at least get you thinking, and maybe give you that nudge maybe to take it more seriously, elevate it up the ranks, if you will. So a couple things I had outlined to talk about. First and foremost, it comes back to focusing on you. I think when we start to feel overwhelmed, we are feeling conflict between what we think other people are doing out here and what we are doing, and that we think we are alone. So we think we're alone, and we see this gap that we're not meeting some kind of expectation, or that the expectation is that we get all these things done. Because when we were younger, maybe we could cross everything off the to-do list, and now as moms and adults, it's like, no way in heck is that to-do list like ever going to get done. Like, and coming to terms with that, like that there will always be unfinished things, there'll be always be more things we could do. That's, I think, just part of life, and it's not something I've totally reconciled myself with. But I think that's maybe the root of this overwhelm, is that we have this perception, this idea that other people are doing it all, other people have it all and can do it, and we're inadequate, or that if we worked harder, if we tried harder, we could, or that we're the only ones struggling with something, when that in fact is not true. There are so many people, you just don't know, right? Because we scroll, I scroll. So yes, this is a plug to stop scrolling. Be very intentional about what you're doing when you are on social media, when you go on, what are you doing? And really just paying attention. Self-awareness is huge for pretty much any kind of change. Is how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel better when you're scrolling? Does it make you feel better after? And I'm pretty sure most of us would say, I don't feel better after I'm done scrolling, unless you're somehow like my husband and you only see funny reels that make you die of laughter. Like, I wish that's what my feed was, but it's not. So, I mean, self awareness for one, like, see if you can identify what triggers those feelings of overwhelm and anxiousness. I don't know what else you would call it, but for me, it centers around I'm not focusing on myself, I'm focusing on that gap. I'm focusing on what I'm not doing, or what I don't have, or how far I have to go until I reach some standard that I'm never going to reach, right? So focus on you, and most importantly, what you're saying to yourself. Not to use something I found on social media, but totally doing it. One of my favorite reels is of this little girl. She's like 2 or 3, and she's like skiing down this like really steep looking hill, and her parents mic'd her up, and she's talking to herself. She's like, go muscles, go. Ooh, that was a big one. You can do it. We're almost there. Like, she's pumping herself up. And I was like, why don't I talk to myself that way? Like, why don't we try it? So have a constant, like, yeah, good job, girl. Or, hey, this is tough, but I know you can do it. Work on putting that dialogue in to help push out or deflect, any of those like doubts and awareness of everything you're not creep in. Like, they're gonna creep in, right? But being quick to have that dialogue, or hey, but I did this, but I did this, those like help defend yourself. In my mind is how I think of it, like a wall, like shielding myself um from all that stuff that leads to that feeling of overwhelm and inadequacy. Because obviously, you're not inadequate, you're not alone, but it feels that way. So how we frame things, how we see things, a lot of that has to do with what we focus on and what we tell ourselves. So be really mindful of that. Awareness is always the key, right? I really think we usually have almost all the tools we need. We just have to pay attention and use them. So really just be attentive to what makes you feel that way, and then what helps you feel better, and leaning more on the things that make you feel better, even if it's preventative, to build up that habit to diminish the occurrence of that overwhelm. That being said, the holidays, there's just more going on, like an abundance we think of as good, but I know it can always just kind of make it worse because you feel like you're drowning. So we already talked about that. No one is doing it all, no one has it all. This is a good time to work smarter, not harder, even with more things to do. And so a simple way, it's trying something new, as I know, scary, but this is a great time to try the services that are available, that are other people's job, whether it's cleaning, whether it's cooking, whether it's takeout laundry services, whether it's dog walking, whether it's getting your groceries delivered. Yes, it costs money, but it saves time and energy. So, weigh the balances, what works for you, what might not work for you. And I know new things can feel overwhelming and cause anxiety when it's new. So don't expect to, I wouldn't dive in and do all these at once. And I wouldn't expect to immediately feel better, but build on it for the next time an overwhelming situation comes up, or be better prepared for next year. Maybe now is not the right time to try anything new or spend more money on that. Well, then maybe pick 1 or 2 times a year leading up to next Christmas that might, oh, maybe I will try this service and see how that goes, or maybe I will do this. That way, then when when you're like, okay, calling in reinforcements here, like this, you can just go, and it's not a drain, right? Other things I've tried to do are get my kids more involved, which is not easy with their schedule and their attitudes all the time. But setting a timer and having a designated like clean time, pitch in time where we're all working on something, whether it's we're working on one project or everyone has their assigned roles. And I set a timer for like 15 minutes. I say, all right, we've got 15 minutes. As soon as the timer's done, we're stopping. Let's go. And so it helps like not feeling like you're the only one working while everyone else is getting to do whatever they want. So, I really think that can be effective, especially too, if it's coming, you just do it. You don't necessarily look forward to it, but stuff is going to get done in that time window. And I'm not saying when the timer goes off, everyone's eager to keep going, but it goes by a lot faster, and it's just something we do now. So it's helped. Other thing along the lines of the focusing is think about where you want to be on January 2nd. You know how January 2nd is coming, right? And when you get to January 2nd and you look back on this month, what do you want to think? What do you want to feel? What do you want to remember? And so when it's coming down to how much time you spend shopping, or how much money you spend on something, or all the things you did, let January 2nd help guide your choices. Let it be your compass. Like, it's coming. How do you want to look back? I don't know that it's possible to ever look back on a season and, not feel any sort of regret or sadness, like, oh, I didn't do this, or disappointment, maybe like in some way. I don't know that that's realistic to look back and just like, oh my gosh, that was just totally perfect. Maybe. I don't necessarily think that's the goal, but let it guide your choices for how you spend your time, how you spend your energy, mental energy, your physical energy, your financial energy, right? Those are all energy sources. Let that guide you so that you're not just being pulled, right? I always think like run the day or the day runs you, which, to some extent, don't think like over controlling, scheduling down to the minute. I'm not saying that, but like have something that you're working towards. Like, what is it that you want to get out of this season? Or what is it that you want your legacy, if you want to think of it that way? What's your memory of the season going to be? And create that memory versus letting things happen to you, right? Don't be the ship tossed about by the waves. Know where you're wanting to go. Again, I wouldn't expect to look back without any disappointment or regret. Like, stuff's going to happen and stuff's not going to happen. But I think if you have an idea of the end already in mind, I say think of like the end, but like, what I mean? There is an end to the holiday season. I think that will really help you, one, maintain focus and keep yourself intentional, but also aware then of those things that are not going to contribute to the memory you want come January 2nd. So, last thing is use gift templates. I don't know that that is a coined phrase anywhere, and I've kind of put it together incidentally this year while I've already started shopping, which is later than I normally start shopping. I'm not going to say shop early, get all your stuff done, prioritize sales. Like, I cannot spend time and energy shopping more than one place, but trying to shop around, price match. Places will price match. That's the thing. Like, they will price match. If you're trying to just spend the bottom dollar, that's going to be a time stress, and you are going to need more time. It takes time to spend less. Always keep that in mind. But especially, got 3 kids. They are all girls, which I feel like does make it a little bit easier, but they're so different. But yet there are still similarities for what goes into a great stocking. And I'm not saying this in terms of like the perfect mom who, crafts the perfect stocking, but use a template, right? Don't reinvent the wheel. And I've run it through a couple filters for boys of different ages, girls of different ages, and I'm pretty sure it's still solid. But if it doesn't work, you just don't do it. So 6 categories. couple gifts into the category. So it really rounds out to like a 10 gift stocking, which I think is perfect. And then, you can spend high and low within each category. So real quick, and I will type these out, but something you can write with or use to create. So like cool markers, pens, or like Play-Doh, slime, something like that. 3 things you can wear: something for your hair, something for your face, and something for your body. So like socks, hats, scarf, clips, brush, comb, something like that. And then chapstick, lotion, body spray, something like that. 2 things you can eat. Mine like chocolate, mine like candy. One thing that's chocolate, one thing that's candy. Something for the bath, whether it's like a toy, pool toy would be fine too if you live by a pool. That'd be awesome. If it's a bath bomb, if it's a new, whatever. Something you can play with or read. So I'm thinking like a pocket size, like a little game, a little joke book, a flip card thing, like a deck of, one of those like desk calendars. So play or read. And then something they can spend, whether it's like $5 or a gift card to their favorite, treat place, their favorite store, something like that. So bum, 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 bum. I'm pretty sure you can take that, fill it in. You can either order them all to be delivered, or exactly where to go. If you're drawing a total blank in that category, just cross it out. But I think it makes it really easy when you're shopping, and also helps keep it even, which is something I try to be mindful of when it comes to stockings. And again, remember, kids don't know how much you spend on things for the most part. I mean, maybe older teenagers, old tweens, and maybe pay attention to it, but they don't care, if you spent the same amount of money. They just want something that is special to them. So don't feel like you have to spend the same amount of money per kid. That's always been my rule, and it's worked pretty well because everyone's happy when they get what they want. They're more upset when they have an uneven number of gifts, in my opinion. So anyways, don't reinvent the wheel. Use systems as much as you can. And again, focus on January 2nd and control what you tell yourself. So good luck, and I will see you next time.